Dan McCarthy here. Just want to give you an update on the Cairns black marlin fishery. It is absolutely going off out there. And as usual, the first really big fish were caught before mid-September. I know there was only 3 boats out there at the time, and they all started catching their really big fish, and I'm talking 800 pound plus, before mid-September. And it's just got better and better since then. Now most of the fleet's out there, all the fleet's been out there for several weeks now, and it is going off every day. I'm hearing so many reports of really, really big black marlin being caught by several boats most days. It's absolutely incredible. And it's a tough one to swallow that I'm shore bound this year. But anyway, all I can do is tell a few stories about it and chomping at the bit to get back out there next year. So if you haven't got yourself a boat booked for next year, you want to get hold of one of the professional skippers in our fleet and book yourself a charter for next year, because there is nowhere like it on earth. The Cairns black marlin fishery between Cairns and Lizard Island. This is the place to be. If you want to catch a really big marlin, get your backside on a boat out here next year. Now, for those of you that have been asking about my hand, I just thought I'd give you a quick update. Got the stitches out the other day. I've been taken care of, very good care, by Jade Webb at F&Q Hand Therapy, a hand clinic there in the same building as the hand surgeon, Jeremy Loveridge, that did the operation for me. Jade took my stitches out the other day. I'll put a little clip in here, insert a little clip so you can see the gory details for those of you that like it. I apologise for those of you that don't. I've taken all the stitches out bar one. There's one stitch that goes through the top of my little finger, punched out the back there, a little button on it. It's basically, Dr. Jeremy Loveridge has basically tied the tendon to the bone while it knits. So all the other stitches are out, but it just got that one in there. It just reminded me of a little Queenie head rig, actually. So I'll tell you a story in a minute about my favourite story about queenfish. Queenfish are one of our favourite baits out here. They could be this big to quite big. They make fantastic marlin bait. They're like gold. Everybody loves catching queenies and using queenies for marlin bait. They're really, really special. So I'll tell you a really good story about queenies in a second. But I just encourage you out there, if you're one of the skippers in the fleet, if you're a long-term angler or whatever, and you've got some great stories, start telling them. Get them out there, because we really do have the best fishery in the world, and we want to share that around the world, because we're very, very lucky, very blessed to be able to fish here. And I tell you what, we're all susceptible to having it taken off us. My ability to fish this year has been taken off me. Thank God I've got a relief skipper running the boat, so our great clients can get to go out there and enjoy some really good fishing, which is very exciting. And I'll be interviewing some of those really great legends over the next few weeks, as well as a bunch of other industry legends, some of the retired skippers and some other people around the fringes that have you'll really like to hear their stories. So stay tuned. Just like you to share your stories, guys. That's really what it's all about. Just to tell you about this Queenie story, is by far my best story in relation to queenies. We were fishing a few years ago on the Moana, up around Jewel Reef, north of Lizard Island, one of my favourite areas to fish, particularly when it's really rough. I like to get up there, away from the rest of the fleet, and just hunt around. Sometimes you don't do any good, and every now and again you get a great story like this one. I was fishing there late in the afternoon, and I could see over in the distance, over towards the breakers on the reef, there was just this hell of a commotion. Thousands and thousands of queenfish about this long were just showering and showering, and then there would be this almighty explosion right in the middle of them. It certainly got my attention. So I doubled back around, and as I'm doubling back around and heading over that way, they were quite a way up on the flat and way up in the shallows. And it happened again, and it happened again. This queenie's just showering and showering. And I'm thinking, holy moly, something serious is getting into them. These almighty eruptions, like someone dropped a bomb in the water right in amongst them. Anyway, I turned again to see it, and I just as I did, I saw this explosion, and then I saw a huge marlin on the surface, its dorsal and bill out of the surface, and its top tail fluke out of the water, and it's just munching on this big queenfish it just caught. My eyes are just about popping out of my head. seeing this thing, and I'm like, holy smokes, I've yelled out to the guys on the deck, and the angler, Andrei Gregorov, who was a long-time angler of mine, really great guy, and he could really put the hurt on the fish. Anyway, I saw this fish there laying on the surface, and at that point I was going head on to it. It's laying in this direction and we're trolling this way. I've turned around like that to drag my big skipping scaly mackerel towards it. Before I could get anywhere near it, it was probably 40 meters away, I guess, from it, and this marlin's tail has just started going like this on the surface, but the fish wasn't moving. It's like winding up a rubber band. It's going like this flat out, and all of a sudden he's hit the go switch and he's just bolted and taken that scaly mackerel head on at 100 miles an hour and just kept going for the horizon. The backdrop evaporated like that, and this thing just kept smoking line off like there was no tomorrow. Normally I'll stop the boat and give the fish a few moments to swallow the bait down. We're using circle hooks, so it just gives them a little bit of time to swallow it. Not this bad boy. It just kept heading. So we just put the drag up, and there she was, jumping just like she was well and truly in control, jumping over the horizon. That fish was one of the toughest battles I've ever had. It never stopped for a moment. It just kept smoking line off. She was in control. She was going this way, going that way. Then she just decided to head back into the shallows, and I'm talking real shallow. She'd just get into the shallows, and I was thinking, this fish is crazy. Got some sort of a death wish or something. I didn't know it. At times I thought, is this fish trying to get itself stuck in the reef? Is it trying to swim over the top of the reef flat? Or is it just in there looking for a coral trout for a snack? Because this thing was just mean, big, fat, and in control. It was wild, absolute wild fight. I never got to rest for a second on the sticks. Andre was giving it heaps in the chair, and this fish was giving us a hell of a battle. I had to use every trick I could in the book, get the boat between the fish and the reef to try and chase her back out into deeper water. And every time she'd do that, she'd go out in deep water and then straight back in the shallows. We hooked this fish, the bite. We got it about 4:45 in the afternoon, and knock-off time for the tournament was 5:30. So we just got the bite in time. We ended up tagging that fish at 9:30 that night. And just the tagging itself was quite amazing. It was quite scary too, because picture this. It's dark. It was about 20-25 knots of wind, so there's quite a bit of sea and swell running. We've got this fish. I'm back. The nose of the boat literally was under the breakers. The breakers were underneath the bow of the boat. I've got 9 meters of water on the sounder. The deckie's got this giant fish on the leader, and I'm thinking, we're in big trouble here. We're all gonna die. But we had to finish it off. We had to finish the battle off. And we had simultaneously, we were trying to tag the fish with a tournament point, and we were trying to get a satellite tag in the fish. And just at that moment, the crew's got the fish on the leader, and the fish just sort of popped like that, and I thought, oh, she's throwing the towel in, but she hadn't. And just at that moment, the tag goes in, and then the sat tag goes in, and because the fish at that stage was, I thought, pretty tired, so I'm yelling out, no, to stop wasting the $4,000 sat tag on a fish that was borderline. Anyway, the tag goes in. Not only did it go in, but it pretty much brain spiked the fish. And I'm thinking, oh my God, we've just wasted $4,000 on a sat tag on a fish that's marginal. Anyway, thank God we got away with it. But to our great delight, the data that came in on that sat tag was absolutely incredible. That big fish obviously survived very, very well. She went up and down that corner of the reef and in that general area there for several weeks before she decided to migrate out across the current out into the Pacific. It was quite an amazing battle. So anyway, that's my most exciting story about Queenies. I just started thinking about that again with the old Queenie head rig on my finger. So anyway, if you haven't got yourself booked on a boat for next marlin season 2026, you want to get in quick because most of the fleet is filling up really fast. So I've got some great stories coming up. I'm going to interview some real good legends in the next few weeks. So stay tuned, like and subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, and I'll catch you soon.